Welcome back to Friction Addiction's hold unboxing. Today we are unboxing the Evolution Fibreglass Set 2 by Xcult. It is again the Dual-Tex edition. If you loved Set 1, you're going to love this one. It's a little bit more in-cut across the entire range of 20 holds and allows for a little bit more dynamic stuff, especially once we go into the steeper terrain. But yeah, let's get into unboxing. So this time in nice blue 5015, so RAL 5015 blue. As you can directly see, even the first shape that we've just picked out, already a little bit more in-cut in comparison to Set 1 or most of the holes in Set 1. The general idea is still quite similar, so large, swooping, clean lines, relatively rounded features, nothing all too edgy in these ones. And then in classic Evolution Fiberglass style, we do have the smaller holds as well. Set 2 definitely has a couple of these smaller holds, more so in the handhold territory than Set 1. And Set 1, even though there's 2, 3 flat to in-cut shapes for the smaller holds, they tend to be pretty bad for hands. But Set 2, you can definitely already tell much more in-cut, even in the small stuff. The last one I've just unpacked is probably the slopiest out of the lot in the entire set. Set, if compared to Set 1, just by volume, even though it's the same amount of holds, is slightly bigger. So there's a little bit more there, more depth in some of the holds, and just, as you can see, a lot more in-cut. I'll just mount them on the wall behind us, just to sort of lay them out a little bit the way you might see them on the walls. One thing that's a little bit special, the largest hold in this series is actually basically a dual two-hand position hold. We really love this one, actually, especially for slab. As you can see, relatively flat in here, not a great gripping surface, then really good in here, here, and then again in sort of this section. Let's mount them on the wall, see what they look like, and then we'll do a quick comparison with the actual hold shapes. This shape here is the most in-cut of the lot, so definitely the most positive hold. Easy for two hands, even for a hand-foot match situation in steep terrain. It only protrudes 20 centimeters from the climbing wall to you, so even in more densely set environments, that doesn't really get in the way of things all that much. And one large, nicely rounded, not actually super positive, so I'd say anything from about 40 degrees onwards. Even at 45 degrees is already going to be quite hard if you're not compressing. If you're just hanging, we're talking the upper grade ranges, essentially. And this one here is the most aggressively in-cut shape, so you can tell it's not really a full hand wrap, so the radius here is a little bit sharper than on the other ones. Not sharp actually, but just a little bit smaller radius. Fantastic hold, even in really steep, still feels pretty good. These two shapes, quite similar in terms of positivity, but this one here is just a little bit deeper in cut, gives you a bit better wrap on your hand, and you can really build that wrap up. This one just a bit higher in the actual palm part. This one feels fantastic. This one is the closest in terms of crossover shape between Set 1 and Set 2. This one here, actually one of my favorite shapes, a little bit different to the remainder of this series. Relatively small, so you can tell only about 25 centimeters long. One of my favorite shapes, but has a really nicely angled, rounded over, almost like a crimp edge, like a slopey, crimpy edge. Fantastic, super fun. And then one that we use as a foothold all of the time. Quite a lot of depth, still Dual-Tex, so you can still force lots of movement around it really nicely, and sort of peters out here at the bottom, so you can do really nice smears still, and even come in as a hand. Cool, and then we have the small footholds / handholds. So these two, very slopey, Then we have these two shapes, slight divot incuts, and then these two shapes, actually quite juggy. This is definitely something that you could hold up to 45 degrees. So this is it, set 2 in Dual-Tex, 20 holds again. So we've got two of the quite large features up to about 60 centimeters, so 60, 50, 40, and then we're going down in size all the way to about 12 centimeters or so wide. So when would I use set 2 versus set 1? I've seen it quite often that gyms buy both sets in the same color so they can actually mix and match holds between the sets. This is somewhat actually what they were designed for, so you can tell that the sort of swooping angles are quite similar, so lots of the same striking lines, and then set 2 is literally just more positive. But yeah, when would I use set 2 or set 1? Normally, if we're talking more vertical or slab, if we're going really dynamic, so lots of the holds here, here and here are so good, you can generate a lot of force coming out of them or going into them. Then also obviously in steeper terrain, so anything up to 45 degrees, they're still completely fine, just without volumes, most of them except for maybe potentially these two shapes. 45 to 60 degrees without volumes, you're probably going to find these in the sort of V7 to V10 range, so I think 7A plus to about 7C plus. Okay, you might have also noticed by now, in comparison to set 1 of the Evolution Fibreglass series, where two of the larger shapes had bolt holes, none of the large shapes here have bolt holes. Everything is screw on with good amount of placements, so they're really made for large dynamic movements with lots of force going into those holds. Let's have a quick look at the back of one of the holds. Okay, so here we have one of the more in-cut shapes, and we'll just have a quick look at the back. So you can see the mounting points with their little resin plateaus. It's not actually just resin buildup, there is fiberglass in there to prevent any splits or explosions. We have set with these style of holds with the Evolution Fibreglass series for 5+ years now, so four and a bit years here at Beta Park alone with the same sets, and we have zero blowout on these screw holes, so nothing to worry about here. Every single screw hole, as usual, has the stainless steel inserts, crisp dual texture lines with not much height difference, so you can barely feel it when you're sort of catching a hold or rubbing your hand over it. And there's no resin pooling or anything similar in here, so just the very classic Evolution Fibreglass construction quality of the holds. So let's also compare this to, I'll actually take a different hold off, put this one back on. I've got something special here. Same hold as we have here. However, this hold has been in use commercially for 4.5 years at Beta Park. Just want to showcase the damage that you can sort of expect, or the use and wear and tear marks you can expect on a hold of this age. They hold up extremely well. As you can see, there are a couple of impact driver jump marks surrounding most of the screw holes, which is relatively standard at that sort of time. A couple of deeper scratches. You can still see in the shininess of the hold. I hope that the Dual-Tex or the gloss finish is still in really good shape. The texture itself has not actually worn down all that much. So I'll take down the other hold. So just so we can compare 1 to 1, clean lines, same clean lines 5 years later. We do have these sort of impact marks, similar to the video that I did on the Evolution Fibreglass Set 1. I do think that they're mainly from stacking holds. So especially with some of the bigger shapes, you'll see that they're often used to sort of sandwich holds or taco holds into one another, and then you do get these sort of drop point damages. But they're not peeling or flaking off any further. Really good wear and tear. Also, let's try and get a close-up of the texture itself. So the texture for 5 years in age is remarkably good. So still really bitey texture. Nothing to complain about at all. Has held up exceptionally well. I want to show you one more hold that has a little bit more damage. So that is the large feature over here. And you can see that, again, stacking. For most climbing holds, storage is actually what hurts the holds more than any other setting or anything similar, unless we're jibbing. But if we're not jibbing, the main damage the hold will take is from storage, and that's what this is from. So you can see if we're going up close, there is a fair bit of scratch and rubber worn into the scratch marks, but in principle still in very good shape for a hold that's been continuously used for 4.5 years. All the screw holes are looking great. Hold from the back is looking fantastic. Pretty much nothing to fault. But again, storage, bit of storage damage. So as I said earlier, from a setter's perspective, it's a super versatile set. We still get the subtle slopey lines in the holds, as well as the really in-cut holds. So we can set anything from slow, balance and technical to really powerful, fast and coordination based. So any of that is not a problem at all. Would I recommend people with home climbing walls to buy this? Absolutely yes. In terms of the fiberglass sets available, this is one of the more positive ones. Really fun, really good to play with. This would actually make a fantastic set for a home climbing wall. I would say anything up to about 50 degrees, unless you've got some bigger volumes for some of the bigger things to fit onto. But then keep in mind they do take up quite a bit of space. If you only have a climbing wall 1 panel wide, you'll probably find pushing the bigger shapes to the top or the very sides, with the smaller shapes in the center. It's probably going to be the way to go. So that is X-Cult's Evolution Fiberglass Set 2 in Dual-Tex. Same as Set 1, this is also available in full tex. So if you would prefer all of the glossy surfaces to just be texture, it's just a different product code, can be ordered, not a problem at all. Okay, tool belt off. I hope you liked the quick little review on this whole set. It's definitely one of our favorites, we set with it all of the time. Hit like and subscribe if you want to see more of the Evolution Fiberglass series, and thanks for watching. Catch you next time.